Welcome. Have you ever noticed that how you naturally feel sleepy at night and alert and awake in the morning without even having an alarm? That's because your body runs on an internal 24-hour clock called the circadian rhythm. This clock isn't just psychological or random. It's controlled by genes, proteins, and biochemical reactions inside your cells. It quietly controls your sleep, metabolism, hormones, and overall health. Today, let's explore the biochemistry behind this fascinating biological clock. Let's go ahead. Every cell in your body follows a daily schedule. This built-in clock, 24-hour clock, it runs using clock genes and clock proteins. It helps to decide when you feel sleepy, when the hormones are released, when you digest food, and even when your body repairs itself. But then this timing breaks because of late nights, irregular meals, or too much of screen light, and it leads to health problems starting to show up. So, maintaining this clock is essential for good health. So, what does exactly circadian mean? It simply means 24 hours. Almost everything in your body, it follows this daily rhythm. Sleep and wake cycles, body temperature, hormones, digestion, and energy levels. And it's not just the plants, it's not just humans, plants, animals, and almost every living organism. They have their own daily rhythm. And these rhythms, they help us to stay perfectly aligned and in sync with the natural cycle of day and night. Inside your brain, there is a region called as suprachiasmatic nucleus. This is the master clock of the gene. It receives light information from your eyes and sets the main timing signal. But there is something that is even more amazing is that every organ have their own local clock. Your liver, muscles, fat tissue, pancreas, they have their own daily programs. The SCN, which is the master clock, they help to control and keep all of the other clocks in sync by using nerve signals and hormones. So it's like a conductor leading an orchestra. So instead of having chaos, your whole body follows one coordinated master plan. So now let's dive in and zoom in into a single cell and see what happens inside that. Because inside the cell is where the real clock lives. Every cell runs on a simple gene and protein feedback loop. There are four main proteins that control this system, that is clock, BML1, PER, and cry proteins. First, the clock and BML1 they work together like switches, so they turn specific genes called PER and cry genes on. Then the PER and cry proteins they slowly start building up, and after some time, these proteins come back and turn the system off. So basically, the clock turns itself on and then off and again on and off like that. So this repeating loop creates daily rhythm inside every cell. Now let's break it down step by step, even more detail. So first we have the clock and BML1, which will bind to specific DNA regions called the E boxes or E box sites. They then go and turn on the PER and cry genes, and then the cells start making mRNA. So next what happens? The mRNA leaves the nucleus and goes into the cytoplasm. Here the cell builds the PER and cry proteins. As the proteins start accumulating, they travel back into the nucleus, and then they block the clock and BML1. So their own production stop. Okay, so after the proteins break down, the block is removed and the cycle starts again. So it's a very beautiful, simple regulating system. Now there's a question, an important question. If this loop is very simple, why doesn't it just finish within few hours? How does it stretch to a full 24 hours? The answer here is chemical modifications. Special enzymes called as kinases, they add phosphate groups to PER and cry. This changes how stable they are and how fast they are. Later, another tag called ubiquitin it marks them for destruction, and they are broken down by proteins called enzymes called proteasome. These these delays they stretch the loop to about 24 hours. So one cycle takes about 1 day. Okay, with all these delays. So this is how biochemistry sets our biological clock. Now, the core loop keeps time, but the body also needs precision. So here's an extra control system that fine tunes the rhythm. This involves two helper proteins called as reverb, okay, REV, ERB, reverb, and ROR. They are helper proteins, so you can think of them like brakes and accelerators. So reverb, they help to reduce the BML1 production. They slows down the clock. They help in slowing down the clock basically. Our ROR proteins, they act as accelerators. They increase the BML1 production, speeding it up. So together the R reverb and ROR, they help to balance each other. This side loop sharpens the rhythm and keeps the clock stable and accurate. Without this fine tuning, the time would drift. Okay. So far, we have seen how the clock works inside the cells. But there is one big question remains. How does this internal clock stay aligned with the outside world? The answer is light. Special cells in your eyes can directly sense light, especially blue light. They send signals to your brain's master clock, which is the SCN. Light changes the activity of clock genes inside these neurons. So this resets the clock every day. Morning light, it shifts the clock earlier and helps you wake up. But late night pushes the clock later, delaying the sleep. So that's why screens at night can confuse your brain into thinking it's still daytime. The clock doesn't just keep time, it also controls what your body actually does. The core clock, it regulates hundreds of other genes. These are called the clock controlled genes. Fine. And each tissue, they run on its own daily program. Some genes, they help control the hormone release. Some handle detox and liver enzymes. Others regulate immunity, cell repair, and metabolism. So depending on the time of the day, different systems turn on and off. Your body is basically running on a daily schedule all the time. One of the most obvious effects of the circadian rhythm is sleep. The SCN communicates with sleep and alertness centers in the brain. It also controls the pineal gland, which helps to release melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that it rises at night and signals the body. Now it's the biological night, time to sleep. So as the melatonin increases, the level increases, we feel drowsy. When the morning light arrives, melatonin levels they drop and we wake up. But if the clock is misaligned, like during a jet lag or irregular schedules, sleep becomes poor. It starts becoming poor and fragmented and unrefreshing. The clock also strongly controls your metabolism. Your pancreas times insulin release to match your usual meal times. During the day, your body is more insulin sensitive. Glucose is handled efficiently and energy is used properly. But at the night time, the metabolism slows down. Insulin sensitivity drops and sugar stays longer in the blood. So late night heavy meals go against your biology. Over time, this mismatch increases the risk of weight gain, obesity, and type 2 diabetes. In simple words, your body is designed to eat mostly during the day and not at midnight. Most people think that circadian rhythm only affects sleep or maybe body weight. But the truth is that it impacts much more deeper. Your biological clock influences almost every organ system. When the clock stays aligned, your body runs smoothly. But when it's chronically disturbed, problems start happening slowly. For example, your mood, right? Brain chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, and cortisol all follow daily rhythms. If your clock is misaligned, like late nights or shift work, these signals get disrupted. That's why circadian disruption is strongly linked to depression, anxiety, and mood disorders. Next is heart health. Blood pressure, heart rate, and vascular tone naturally changes across the day. But irregular sleep and timing can increase hypertension and heart disease risk. Even the immune system follows a schedule. Inflammation, immune cell activity, infection response vary by the time of the day. So a disturbed clock can weaken the immunity and it's dangerous. Fine. And some it can have there can be increase of chronic inflammation. Some studies link long-term circadian disruption with higher cancer risk because cell division and DNA repair are also time-regulated processes. So today, scientists consider that circadian rhythm is not just a sleep issue, but it's a foundation of total health, just like diet and exercise. Now let's talk about a very modern problem that we face today is that the screens at night mobile at night, using mobile at night, right? For thousands of years, humans have followed natural light from the sun. Bright days, dark nights, but today we carry tiny artificial suns or artificial lights in our hands. Phones, tablets, laptops, they all emit blue light, strong blue light, which is exactly the wavelength our brain uses to detect daytime. So when you scroll at midnight, your brain receives a powerful signal that it's still daytime, stay awake. This suppresses the melatonin, which is the hormone responsible for sleeping, for helping you to sleep. So the hormone that prepares your body for sleep, basically. Without melatonin rising at the right time, you don't feel sleepy. You fall asleep later. Sleep becomes shorter as sleep quality drops. And it doesn't stop at tiredness, right? Over time, this chronic delay affects the metabolism, appetite hormones, mood, and the insulin sensitivity. That is why heavy late night screen use is associated with weight gain, diabetes risk, and emotional stress. So it's not just about losing sleep, right? It's about confusing your entire biological system. The good news is that you can fix your clock. It doesn't require complicated treatments. It's mostly about simple daily habits. First is morning light. Bright sunlight, natural sunlight within the first hour of waking is one of the strongest signals for your brain. It tells your SEN that this is morning and start the day, right? So this helps anchor your rhythm. Add a short walk or light exercise and the effect is even more stronger. Now the next thing is food timing. Try to eat most of your meals during the day, ideally within 8 to 12 hour window period. Okay, 8 to 12 hour window period because your body handles glucose much better in daylight than at night. Late night eating forces your metabolism to work at the wrong time. Then the evenings, the most important is dim lights, avoid harsh screens, and create a calm environment. This allows melatonin to rise naturally and finally it becomes consistent. Sleeping and waking at similar times every day keeps your clock stable. Think of it like setting your body's time zone correctly. Small habits, but it has huge benefits in the long term. Here is something fascinating, right? Timing doesn't just affect sleep or meals, it even affects medicine because the same circadian rhythms that control how the drugs are absorbed, metabolized, and cleared from the body. Many drugs they target in like targets like enzymes, receptors, hormones. They all fluctuate throughout the day. So a medicine taken at one time may work better. At another time, it might cause more side effects. For example, some blood pressure medications they work best at night. Certain asthma drugs they are more effective in the evening, and some chemotherapy treatments they are timed to reduce the toxicity and increase the effectiveness. This strategy is called as chronotherapy. It means you use biological time as part of the treatment plan. In the future, medicine may become even more personalized, not just what dose, but also what time. Because sometimes the right timing can be as important as the drug itself. So now let's just summarize and recap what we have learned so far. Okay, so your body has a 24-hour built-in 24-hour molecular clock or biological clock, which is called as the circadian rhythm. This clock is created by simple gene protein feedback loops which are there inside every cell. Light resets it, genes follow it. And your sleep, metabolism, hormones, immunity all depend on it. When the clock is aligned, you feel energetic, refreshed, and healthy. But when it's disturbed, problems slowly appear. So remember that respect daylight, sleep regularly, eat mostly in the daytime, limit screens at night because sometimes better health isn't just about what you do, it is about when you do it. So thanks everyone for watching. Take care of your biological clock.